Rams fans and the fans of the rest of the other NFC West teams. Hope you guys are having an amazing night on this beautiful Tuesday. We are back with an NFC West Roundtable like we are every single Wednesday. This week, though, on Ram Showcase, we'll talk about next week. That will be on the CG Rooster Sports channel. But let's go ahead and bring in the crew. First of all, we are going to bring on the Rams' next opponent representative here. We got the AZ Sports fan. What's up, man?
What's up, dude?
We also got the representative of the San Francisco 49ers, CG Ruthless Sports. What up, CG?
What up, man? Let's get it started.
We also got Steezy A. Smith representing those Seattle Seahawks. How's it going, man?
Man, I'm feeling wonderful. Feels great to finally get a win after what felt like an eternity without one. So that's definitely a great way to start this show.
Hey, man, that is one heck of an effort that the Seattle Seahawks put in. I know all of us missed those picks last week, but hey, I know that you don't care. So that's all good, man. But we'll go ahead and hop into those last week games. So obviously we had a bunch of really good games last week. I kind of felt like the Arizona Cardinals game was going to go about how it did. I didn't expect an absolute explosion on that one, man. But the AZ Sports fan, good, bad, ugly on that Cardinals versus Bears game.
What's up, man? Obviously, I'm very excited that the Cardinals have a W, man, with 33-22 on that game. And now we advance to 10-2. Hallelujah. So really excited about the Cardinals just in general, but good, bad, and the ugly. Let's start with the little bad that we've seen there. It's kind of hard to kind of post like bad because it was just a really bad inclement weather just in general, and obviously the Redbirds aren't used to it, man. We're playing in a dome, we're pretty spoiled. So I was actually kind of nervous going into this game, being like, oh boy, how are we gonna come into this where it's gonna be really cold, it's gonna be very slippery, the ball's gonna be slick, and we've seen it kind of happen with Kyler Murray. He had the ball in his hand and it kind of slipped out of his hands a couple times, and thankfully he ended up jumping on top of it and everything was working great. But that was the extent of the bad. I honestly thought that the Arizona Cardinals did a very good game plan coming in here. They ran the ball, but I do think that the best thing that happened in this game is our defense, man. We had 4 interceptions on Andy Dalton, and obviously me, I'm going to gloat, but a lot of people are going to look at it and say, hey, it's Andy Dalton. But 4 interceptions is actually pretty amazing. Our offense didn't have to do a lot throughout the entirety of the game. Every time we had an interception, we were always on the positive side of the field. Kyler Murray had a total of, I believe it was like 140-something yards passing. He did have like 60 yards rushing, which was pretty cool, but he did come back, man. After 3 games, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, and it was just a really good game to kind of tie the bow in the double-digit win, 10-2. Beautiful.
First team to the double-digit wins.
Let's go.
So that's I mean, I say it's good for you, but for all of us, maybe not so much. But speaking of first, Cooper Kupp, wide receiver of the LA Rams, is the first wide receiver this year to hit 100 receptions on the season. I was there to see it with my own eyeballs. It was absolutely amazing. If you guys were there, you guys know that it was a pretty electric day out there at SoFi Stadium. It was pretty good. So I'll go good, bad, ugly on this one, man. The bad, I'll say, we beat up on the Jags. I mean, it's hard to get super high on beating up on the Jaguars, but also, I mean, look at who the Jags have beaten. They've beaten 2 good teams. Their only 2 wins have been against really strong talent. So that it kind of gives me a little bit of hope in there a little bit. But, I mean, the Rams were able to hold the Jaguars under their averages, which is what I'll kind of take out of that one. Giving up only 7 points. It's not like Trevor Lawrence did a whole lot. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't really pass the ball. Defense was all over the place. And then that offense kind of it seemed that was probably the Rams' best offensive performance without Cooper Kupp. If you guys notice also, I don't know how much you could tell. I'm still almost got my full voice back here from this one. I was going a little bit crazy. But yeah, man, it was really good to see the spread of Matthew Stafford and having him hit multiple different people. It wasn't just going Kupp heavy. We were able to see OBJ score again. Of course, Kupp did get in again, but spreading it out there. And also, Sony Michel got the start at running back and gave the Rams their first 100-yard rusher of the season. Actually, first one for a while now. So I'll take that.
Wow.
Sony Michel getting it done, but against the Jaguars, I mean, we'll see. We got a much tougher game this upcoming week, but hey, man, Rams were able to get up to 8-4, kind of hold on a little stronger to that 5 seed sitting in the playoffs right now at that top wild card spot. So hey, with only X amount of games to go, we're getting close to the season here at the end here. So I like where the Rams are sitting. I definitely like the Rams' chances to make it to the playoffs. I think a pretty catastrophic failure would have to happen, even though there are some very tough games. But the other game on the weekend for the NFC West was actually against the Seahawks and the 49ers. So we'll go ahead and start with Steezy, and then we'll go over to CG. I'm sure there will be different perspectives on this one. No, good, bad, no good.
So for the good, I mean, look, this was the second time Seattle scored 30 points since this is the second time Seattle scored 30 with Russ in the lineup since week 2. And I know Russ has been struggling immensely. We all blame it on the finger and whatnot, but he's also looked very erratic. And so, yes, he did finish with an INT, but if it wasn't for Gerald Everett, he would have finished with a sparkling clean 3 touchdowns to 0 INTs on the day. I'm not going to fault Russ for that one at all. Another, I feel like, good part about the victory, on top of the victory in and of itself, was the fact that Seattle won time of possession for the first time in over a year. So obviously all year long, Seattle has not won time of possession, but that dates back to last season as well. And so, I mean, I know time of possession can be an overrated statistic, and so I don't want to dive too deep into it, but I think when looking at Seattle's struggles this season, it's been very telling as to why, we've been such a bad football team, why we've been so inconsistent, why we've been racking up the L's. But 33 minutes and 12 seconds to San Francisco's 26-48. San Fran came in here as the hottest team, as one of the hottest teams in the NFL. They were riding a 3-game winning streak. I think their rushing yards per game in that streak was well over 100. And in this game, Elijah Mitchell had 21 carries for 66 yards, and he averaged under 4 yards a carry. Our run defense was once an afterthought of this defense, but it's slowly but surely becoming a strength. And it's always been a strength in the Pete Carroll era. And so for that to kind of regress back to the mean, I think that's a great sign. We didn't win the turnover battle just because we turned it over 3 times to San Francisco's 3 times. But I think for Bobby Wagner to get, an interception, Quandre Diggs, yet another interception. Carlos Dunlap came alive. For some reason, for whatever reason, he's playing a lot more in coverage this year. But we saw the potential of him when he doesn't play in coverage so much. And he had that safety on Jimmy G. He had that pass breakup at the end of the game that essentially iced the game. And you could talk all you want about, there was holding on, whoever was covering. I forgot his name on the Niners, but at the end of the day, I'm really just focusing on Carlos Dunlap. We ended up getting the victory. Gerald Everett had a horrendous game. I mean, oh my goodness, 2 fumbles lost, and then that interception, like I talked about, that's all on him. The ball touched his hands, and I know that happens to a lot of receivers, but he pretty much gifted the ball to the Niners 3 times on 3 different occasions, and that usually is very uncharacteristic not only of him but the Seahawks offense. And so I don't expect Seattle to turn the ball over 3 times every single game. And so if it wasn't for those turnovers, Seattle would have won more handily. But I think the increased usage of Dwayne Eskridge, our first rookie that we selected this year, that was very encouraging. 3 catches, 35 yards, his first touchdown on the year. Rashad Penny looked decent. And Adrian Peterson, I know on the surface, 11 carries for 16 yards with the 1.5 yards per carry average does not look very sparkling at all. But I just feel like the physicality that he brings to this table, that's one of the biggest things that Seattle lacks on both lines, physicality on the offensive and defensive lines. When you bring in a guy like Adrian Peterson who brings back memories of beast mode and how he's able to push the pile, use his power, and really churn those legs out to get those first downs or, to convert in tough yardage situations, I think that's going to be a much added or a much needed bonus to this football team. I mean, we haven't had anything going with the ground game at all with the guys that we have. And so to bring in a guy like Adrian Peterson, I might be a little biased just because he's my favorite player of all time, playing for my favorite team, but I really like what he could possibly do and the sort of effect that he could have, not only in the locker room, but towards the other running backs, because all the running backs in the Seattle locker room are real, real young. But overall, I mean, for Seattle to sweep the Niners, I had San Fran winning. I told you guys last week, I didn't believe in Seattle enough to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not saying we're going to make the playoffs or anything like that, but I feel like this could be the start of us possibly winning now. I mean, we have some momentum on our side. The defense is, starting to pick it up, the offense as well. So, who knows? This could be the start of something. I'm not expecting a playoff run, but I would like, and I do expect Seattle to finish at or above 500, either at 8 and no, you can't finish at 500 anymore, but I expect Seattle to go 9-8 the rest of the season. Go Hawks, baby.
That would save Russell Wilson from ending his first season below 500. One more loss,
Right.
and he locks it in his first season being below 500. CG, good, bad, and ugly on the other side.
Man. So it's mostly the ugly side. I don't think Seattle's gonna get a 500 record. No disrespect. I mean, Arizona or the Rams are just gonna beat you guys. On the bright side of it is our defensive line did showed up and got to Russell Wilson. They were able to create enough pressure, and that's probably the one main focus that we're gonna have to go against Cincinnati for, was to get to Joe Burrow like that. But what kind of hurt me a lot was the fact that Jimmy G, you expect this guy to carry our team, and he can't do that. So those mistakes were all on Jimmy. The pass protection, the one critical play that really pissed me off was Tom Compton. You had one freaking job to block Jimmy, and look what happened. Carlos Dunlap got to Jimmy G for a safety. That guy needs to be cut. When I look at the bad side of it, is that fake punt. Special teams has been an issue. It's been a very issue since that Vikings game, and it's gotten worse since. We gave Seattle enough time of possession before halftime. We gave them like at least less than 2 minutes to move the drive. It's good on George Kittle's part to get the touchdown, but you could have at least stayed out of bounds and killed the clock. You give Russell Wilson less than 2 minutes, he's going to move the ball down the field and get a touchdown. And I knew from right there this was going to hurt us. Just like that Green Bay game, you give Rodgers enough of that time for a field goal. That's it. It's been clock management lately. But before we played Seattle, we were able to execute time of possession. But when we went to Seattle, that team looked scared. And overall, I just hope this is just one of those games that we shake off and go on to the next game.
Yeah, definitely a lot of ugly in that analysis. Awesome, man. Thank you very much. So, guys, if you guys do have a question for the entire panel here, make sure you guys hit those super chats. I'm a very simple man. Bright colors catch my attention, all right? And that's what they pop up. They're gray otherwise. So if you guys got a question, that will be the course there. We do have an NFC West versus NFC West game to take a look at again this week. So we'll do that one last. You know what? We'll go ahead and we'll go back over to Steezy on this one, because the Seahawks actually have, timing-wise, the first game of the weekend between all these teams headed down to Houston. What you got?
You know, not a lot. We're talking about the Houston Texans, arguably the worst team of football. I think we've all took turns in the division kind of beating up on them. And so I would hope that Seattle is next in line to kind of continue the beatdowns of the Houston Texans. I know Seattle is a team that sometimes plays down to the competition. But I expect a similar result, a similar outcome to when Seattle throttled Jacksonville 31-7. And like I said, Seattle's only scored 30 points twice with Russell Wilson playing quarterback out of, I think, 7 or 8 games. And so I expect that to happen yet again. I expect Seattle to blow out the Texans. I mean, look, Seattle's finally gotten some momentum. I know Seattle mathematically only has about a 3% chance, if memory serves me correct, to even make the playoffs. But to kind of maximize their chances and kind of make that number go as high as possible, you got to start winning games. And I think if you could really start off this week, I know we started off last week with that win against the Niners, but if you could go into this week and really just blow out, you know, the Texans, I feel like that really do good for the morale of this football team, for the locker room, you know, really start to give guys confidence as we head, you know, towards the final stretch of the season. The Texans haven't compiled 200 yards of offense in any of the past 2 weeks. And now they're going to be playing Seattle with a backup quarterback in Davis Mills, who's been absolutely horrendous this year. He had one good game against the Patriots. And that's kind of funny, right? Because Bill Belichick is usually known as that rookie stopper. And for whatever reason, maybe they just didn't game plan. Maybe he saw Davis Mills and he was like, I don't need a game plan against them. And Davis Mills ended up, you know, they narrowly lost to the Patriots. But that was kind of, I'd say, an aberration. If you look at what else he's done in other games against other opponents, he's just been awful. I mean, it's through no fault of his own. I mean, the Texans are just so talent deficient right now. There's such a huge discrepancy in talent between them and everybody else, even the Jacksonville Jaguars, for crying out loud. And so for a team that hasn't had 200 yards of offense in any of the last 2 to 3 weeks, I expect that to kind of remain the same. You know, Seattle's defense has been somewhat stingy in the last month or so, especially as it pertains to red zone defense, third down defense. And we're a bend but don't break type of defense. We give up a lot of yards, but we don't give up a lot of points. And this team can't get yards or points. And so I expect a blowout. I expect at least 30-plus points scored. And who knows, maybe we even shut them out. But I think at the end of the day, ultimately Seattle runs away with this one. I'm going to say 34 to Houston 3.
Before we move on real fast, I just want to ask you: did this Niners game change your opinions at all on Russ/Pete maybe leaving after this year?
Slightly, if even that. Because I know that even if we were to finish 9-8, it's still unlikely that we even make the playoffs. And so I just think that come the end of the season, no matter if we finish above 500 for, I think, the 10th time in Russ's career, we still didn't make the playoffs. And so, I'm going to have to say no, actually. I just feel like it definitely does a little more for Russ as it pertains to his future, because maybe he's willing to, stay in Seattle, like I said before, if he sees fight, if he sees that resiliency. But as for Pete, not much. I mean, but at the very least, if both end up staying for whatever crazy reason, I would like to see Pete stripped of some of that power that he has. I feel like he has a little too much.
Jeez, I'm just now seeing, by the way, that the only team in the NFC y'all are ahead of is Detroit.
Yeah.
Oh, that is wild. All right, we're just going to pull this one in real fast. First of all, man, thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Off topic, but if the Cardinals win this week, you think we have the division on lockdown? What's up, AZ Sports Fan? AZ Sports Fan, do you think the Cardinals should start sitting starters week 17, 18 if we win out? So first, let me take this one. So off topic, but if the Cardinals win this week, you think we have the division? Yeah. If the Cardinals beat the Rams, they're winning the NFC West. They're winning the NFC West either way. But you want to?
Honestly, obviously a lot of Cardinal fans are very, very excited. If we do beat you guys, then that would be crazy, man. I do expect a very good game, and I expect to win too. But realistically, you always have that thought of like sweeping anybody in the division is a very hard thing to do, regardless if you're the Seahawks this year or you're the Rams. You know what I mean? It's just the way that it is. We play each other very, very tough. But if we do beat you guys, then we already locked up a playoff berth, which is absolutely amazing for an Arizona Cardinal team. So yeah, in a heartbeat. Yeah, if we do end up beating you guys, we're going to win the NFC West. I'll call it now for sure. Because you guys are the next people. I mean, the 49ers, they have their stride, but we'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah.
But Mike, real quick. And so CG, I know you talked about how we might not be able to beat the Rams. That is very well true. But if the Cardinals do win now, I could see them resting their starters against Seattle. And so I think we actually have a real legitimate shot at beating Arizona in Week 18 because we're probably going to be playing against backups.
But I still think you guys are going to lose one game. You're still going to lose one game.
Well, yeah, he's still very much a thorn in our side. But I guess we'll just wait to cross that bridge when we get there.
All right, let's continue with these picks on this one. But thank you so much, BBH. Appreciate you. So CG, what do you got for Seattle?
They're gonna play Houston, like a team that's not even better than anybody in the AFC. You got the Jags and Houston. That's in the bottom of that division of the AFC South, and they're the bottom of the AFC. So Seattle, they're pretty much playing for pride. They're not going nowhere. So I see it as a curb stomp. So curb stomp is pretty much obvious because Russell's going to put up numbers. I hope he does well in my fantasy league, but I do see him coming up with a good performance against that Houston's defense. As far as their defense, they've been able to make some good stops. They've been improving in the red zone. I've seen that they've given up really less points the previous weeks before they played us. So they were able to give up 17 points against Green Bay, who is a really good football team. Houston is nowhere near that. So I think it's going to come down to the Seattle Seahawks winning by a shutout. So I got this score going 28-0. I just think Houston ain't good enough.
I'll take this one real fast. I don't think there's much to analyze. The Houston Texans are not a good football team. The Seahawks have at least now a little bit of confidence coming off that one. I think it's going to be a decent win. I'm going to say 28-6. I don't think it'll be necessarily a shutout, but I don't think it'll be close. And then Mike, real fast.
Yeah. So real quick, it's kind of the same boat as you guys as well. Russell Wilson is going to be playing the Houston Texans. Like, I mean, what else you got to say other than that? I do like the high number because I have him in my fantasy football league as well. So I hope he gets some touchdowns. I'll say 35-9. I don't know. Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right. Edwin, first of all, thank you for being here, man. Appreciate you. It says Rams are beating next week. The Cards fans going back to the basement, which I'm guessing is just kind of a metaphor, not record-wise. Right.
It's fair.
Just back to the basement to go hide. But the fan base that I love messing with the most, we'll go ahead and go to next. We got CG and those 49ers got a pretty tough game actually against the Cincinnati Bengals, who, man, that last week game against the Chargers, it felt like they were right there and then just crumbled, man. But what do you got on this one?
Yeah, speaking of that, they came up a pinky away, man. Joe Burrow got a pinky issue. Hopefully we can be able to get to that. Hopefully we can exploit that. But I think Cincinnati's going to come a little bit pissed off. But from what I'm looking at from the odds or whatever, the favorites, they have us winning by 3 points or at least a point against Cincinnati because of the way they've been playing their competition. Take away the Baltimore Ravens, they haven't played really as good competition. But despite losing to Seattle, they still have us the favorite. I don't know why. But if we had Deebo Samuel, which he's going to come back this week, my only concerning factor is our secondary. Can our pass rush step up? Which I've seen some strides from Arden Key and guys like Jordan Willis and quite a few of the guys in the rotation, and Nick Bosa. He's been stepping up and playing at a highest level. But if we can maintain that pressure on Joe Burrow and disrupt the timing and our cornerbacks do a solid job, there's no doubt in my mind we can beat Cincinnati. Because, I mean, if you look at what history has said before, we've owned the Bengals. Win or lose, we always tend to have their number. The previous 2 Super Bowls, we've owned them. The last time we played Cincinnati, we blew the brakes out of them. But this is a far different Bengals team. So I expected a very close game. But I definitely do have my 49ers winning by a nail biter. So I know the loss to Seattle is a bad taste in our mouth, and it kind of gave us a little anger. And I think we're going to take it on the Bengals. And if the Bengals just thought losing to the Chargers was worse, they ain't going to see what's going to happen with this pissed-off Niners team. So I definitely have us winning 35 to 31 Niners.
All right. Steezy?
I have Elijah Mitchell on a lot of my fantasy teams, and so I saw a report that he's in the concussion protocol. And seeing as how he's been the engine of this football team for the past month or so in the games that he's been healthy, I'm a little concerned. I mean, if San Francisco relies on the run as much as it does, there's a possibility that Elijah Mitchell doesn't play in this game. And when you talked about Deebo coming back this week, I raised an eyebrow because I also have him on another of my fantasy teams, and it was discussed that he might be out for 1 or 2 weeks. And so I just don't know if he's really ready to come back now. I mean, I know you guys are in the middle of a playoff chase, but you'd rather bring in a guy a week, later than a week too early, just because he's definitely a guy that you can't miss for, a prolonged period of time. And we saw that against Seattle. George Kittle, 9 catches, 181 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And so I don't think you guys should rush Deebo Samuel. And so just with that, Fred Warner also, he's not 100% ready to play. And so just with those injuries that you guys are currently dealing with, I know Cincinnati is also dealing with their own. You already mentioned it, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow, but I'm going to have to go with Cincinnati here. I mean, I just feel like with Cincinnati, they're coming off a loss. They're just like the Chargers. They've been up and down this really the entire season. 1 week, they'll look great. The next week, they'll look bad. And they happen to look bad last week. And so I feel like they come back here. San Fran, they're traveling on the road all the way over to Cincinnati. I just feel like with Cincinnati, they're kind of in a position to really strengthen their stronghold on that division. Baltimore, Marlon Humphrey's out for the year. I don't know how many more injuries they could withstand. Pittsburgh, nobody trusts them. Cleveland, they're still the little bros of the division. Cincinnati, that division is theirs for the taking. And this is the game that you cannot lose at home after losing out by 20 plus to the Chargers last week. They're also in position to bounce back. And so all those things being said, I feel like Cincinnati, they're just a better football team right now. They have more talent. They have more talent offensively, and they're just more explosive. And I think at the end of the day, that wins out. It'll be a close one, though. I think Cincinnati prevails 29 to San Francisco 24.
Let me give you the update. Fred Warner is likely going to play. He's already been updated off the injury list. Debo's good to go. I'm looking at Elijah Mitchell. You're referring to Trenton Cannon, who got a concussion. Elijah Mitchell only just he's going to be expected to play. So I'm pretty confident with this team, we're going to be able to beat the Bengals. But like you said, if you look at it that way, I understand. So Bengals have something to play for. We're pretty much under the wire, so we're good.
Well, real quick, it also says here Emmanuel Mosley to miss several weeks.
Yeah, he's out. That's the one. That's the yeah. That's the only one that's out.
Elijah Mitchell in question.
He's probably likely going to play.
We'll see.
All right, Steezy. Corey Davis here is asking for you to say thank you to the referees for not calling that pass interference, by the way. As a Rams fan, I still don't feel comfortable commenting on no call pass interferences, but I still got a few more years, I think. But I'll tell you, that's all you.
Hey, real quick though, Corey, I understand the frustration. I mean, obviously, if I was in your shoes, I'd be mad at the rest too. But I mean, look, a lot of uncharacteristic things happen in this football game. For one, Seattle turned the ball over 3 times. That almost never happens. And so, if it wasn't for those turnovers, Seattle would have won a lot more handily. That's all I'm gonna say.
AZ.
Yeah, so 49ers and Cincinnati Bengals. It's going to be a good game, man. Very good game. I kind of disagree with Steezy when it comes down to Debo. I think that if they are in this playoff push, because their schedule is pretty tough coming out of this. So they got Cincinnati Bengals. Falcons going to be, a little bit easy there. Well, who knows? They can score. Then they got the Titans, and then Texans are probably a gimme, but they also got the Rams to end the season. So I think any chance that they're going to be able to get into and or steal a win, they're still in this race. And Debo is in my opinion, man, that guy is it. I know Elijah Mitchell is their number one running back, but Debo Samuel is, he's really, really good. So I do see Debo Samuel maybe coming out, even if he's not 100%, maybe 85%. I do think that they'll have him out there. Maybe not all the way. Maybe they'll have limited snaps on him, but definitely for him to be productive. When I look at this game here, I just don't trust Jimmy G. That's the problem. I don't trust Jimmy G at all. So I'm going to have to give the slight edge to Cincinnati Bengals. So I guess the only really thing I disagree with is that when it comes down to Debo Samuel, even if he's not 100%, I do think that he will play in this game because this is such a big, important game coming in. Because after this, they only got 4 games left, and it's numbered here. And Jimmy G, man, a lot of people are talking about getting his job out of there. A lot of fans are not happy with Kyle Shanahan right now. So any opportunity for him to get an extra win, I think they'll definitely go ahead and do it. So, but I will give a slight edge to Cincinnati Bengals. I'll say 35-28. Cincinnati.
All right.
So one thing I want to bring up real quick. I apologize, Joe, but to Corey Davis, real quick. I don't know how you feel about this, but I know a lot of Niner fans were blaming Jimmy G for the Niners losing that football game. So you can't blame Jimmy G and the refs as to why the Niners lost. You got to pick a side. And so Corey,
I blame Tom Compton.
Okay, well, Corey, if you have a second, if you're listening to me right now, if you could kind of just comment your thoughts, was it Jimmy G or the refs? Because you got to pick one.
Pick one, buddy.
All right. For this one here, this is actually a great matchup. We entered the season, and I was very confident that the 49ers were going to bounce back and do awesome. And then the season started. They started playing, and kind of stopped my faith in them a little bit. I kind of saw that a lot of the stuff from last year was creeping in, and then they went on that streak, and it's kind of like, well, wait a second, who is this team? Is it the team that I thought that they were going to be when the season, started, or is it the team that I kind of developed my thoughts of as the season started? I'm still kind of confused there. I'm not really sure who this team is. It's so hard to look at last week alone and decide, what this team is all about, because we talk about it here all the time. Division versus division, it's impossible to predict, and you never know what can happen. Good teams can beat bad teams, you know what I mean? It's just all over the place. So I'm kind of getting the feeling that that's kind of what happened last week, was that a bad team was able to kind of come in and do a really good job against the 49ers. But on the other side of it, on the other side of the ball there, I mean, we got the Cincinnati Bengals, they're a good team, and Joe Burrow is awesome. And they're definitely headed in the right direction. Now, I think they've got a lot of pieces in place here. This game is very difficult for me to pick. I think it's going to be extremely close. I'm going to go ahead, though. I'm going to say 27-26. I'm going to give it to the Bengals, though. I'm going to go ahead and go Cincinnati at home. And, I think that's what I'm going with, man. Sorry, CG. Sorry, I had to do it to you. But now we've got you're actually the only one to pick the Niners, man. We've all lost complete faith, I guess, in your team.
True.
Well, to be honest, it's the Bengals. We know them pretty well. Seattle, they know us pretty well. Like, for example, we know the Rams pretty well. So I guess it's vice versa.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, it's we'll get that game later on this season, man. I'm excited to get that rematch in for sure, man. That'll be some fun stuff. But we have Monday Night Football prime time. This is the Rams' third prime time game against NFC West opponents. We get one of each of everybody. We had the Seahawks on Thursday night, and then Niners and Cardinals on Monday Night Football. We'll go ahead and start though with you, AZ sports fan. What do you got on this one?
Man, I'm excited. Finally, another primetime game for our Arizona Cardinals. I'm surprised that we haven't been flexed at all. But hey, this is a good opportunity here for, to be on national attention. Last time we had it, we played the Green Bay Packers, and unfortunately, AJ Green didn't turn around, and everybody saw the debacle. And unfortunately, Kyler Murray ended up getting hurt on that game, so he missed 3 games. But Colt McCoy came out and did a good job. But this game is not going to be easy. It really isn't. I know there's a lot of fans that have a lot of optimism about, playing the Rams again. And I do too, when it comes down to it, but division, man, division is all I can really say. I think this game's going to come down to who's going to be able to run the ball and who's going to be able to get that time of possession. I feel like the Arizona Cardinals could get the lead and kind of put you guys in a panic mode. And I obviously mean the Rams. Then I think the abandonment of the run game, which we've been seeing all year. And I do think that the main reason why, Sony Michel had that many yards is because they were beating that curb stomping, like CG says, on the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I feel like when they're playing from behind, they almost kind of forget that they have a really good running back in, Darrell Henderson, as well as, Sony Michel. So I think the Cardinals can definitely pull this off. But they definitely got to do a few things right. And obviously pressure Matthew Stafford, obviously key, and get our run game going, man. James Conner needs to have a beast of a game, and Kyler Murray needs to have a get right game, man. He needs to do wonders. Obviously, we got 4 touchdowns in him, and I can definitely see him maybe put about 3 touchdowns and maybe 1 rushing touchdown on this Rams team. I'm so excited. It's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm going to go ahead and put this at 35-27 Arizona Cardinals.
All right. Yeah, this one, I just wanted to pull this one back up to reference it again. Dominic has the Rams winning 35-23 with Kupp going off for 150 and 2 tutties, which, I'll be honest, man, saying that Kupp's going to get 150 and 2 touchdowns, that's like this bold. All right. That's like just above his averages. All right. Like he can go 120, 130 every single week, man. So I'll give you that one, but
not on the Cardinals.
Go more bold. Go more bold. That actually is something that I was writing up for my show tomorrow, is that the last time these two teams played is the Arizona Cardinals definitely took out Kupp. And Van Jefferson was the Rams' leading receiver. He had 6 catches for 90 yards that day. And that also was an OBJ-less LA Rams. So I'm interested to see what this defense does to prepare for him. There's a little bit more game tape in our offense now with OBJ. Of course, just the last couple of games since he's arrived. But I'm looking forward to this game quite a bit because, of course, the Rams lost to the Cardinals earlier this season. It was week 4. So, the Rams were sitting in first place up until that and then have not been able to get back into that slot since. The Arizona Cardinals have been on quite a tear this year, though. But, for this game, I think that game will be sticking out in a lot of these players' minds, who's losing at home to the Arizona Cardinals. And now we go over to Arizona to get this matchup again. So I like the Rams' ability to bounce back in this one. And we talked about it last time, and some people agree with me, some people don't, but it just kind of felt like the Rams were off that day, man. It just, couldn't really get anything going. So based on, last week against the Jags, of course, but I think that is the perfect way. A 30-point win in the NFL is a 30-point win in the NFL. And you can't, any team is an NFL team, you know what I mean? So winning by 30 is always big, no matter who your opponent is. But I think that will kind of be the little push that the Rams needed to kind of get this ball rolling. And coming off that loss earlier in the season to the Arizona Cardinals, I think this team will be up for it. So I do think the Rams can pull this one off. Started getting the run game going yesterday. I am just really out here hoping that Sean McVay saw what Bill Belichick's game plan was, that you can win a game with throwing the football very few times. So I'm hoping that he just runs that rock all day, and then we can get that going. And that, because I absolutely agree, time of possession is going to be massive in this game. I think he who wins time of possession will win this game. It'll be time of possession and turnovers. That's going to tell the entire story. So I've got the LA Rams winning this one. I think it's going to be high scoring as well. These are two powerful offenses. And so I'm going to go 35-31 LA Rams. And maybe I'll just throw in an extra. It'll be Van Jefferson scoring a touchdown with like 53 seconds to go to win it all. So, and then we also have Dominic here with another defensive prediction this time. Vaughn getting 3 sacks on little Kyler over there. So, but 6 total defensive sacks. All right. So that means AD's got at least once, right? At least once for AD. Let's keep moving though. We've got about 10 minutes here, and then we're bouncing out of here. So we'll head down to Steezy.
Ooh, this one's tough. There's plenty of reasons for me to lean in both teams' directions. When I look at the Rams, it's like there's no way they lose twice, right, to the Cardinals. But on the same token, it's like I look at the Cardinals, and it's like right now they're just a better football team, and Kyler's kind of getting back into his groove. D-Hop's getting back into his groove. Chase Edmonds should be back for this game. The offensive line is very sturdy, and so I don't see the Rams putting up 6 sacks. But then again, on the Rams side, like you said, Joe, you guys have an OBJ this time around. And so even if Arizona is going to, focus on stopping Cooper Kupp, because I remember that stat line, 5 catches on 13 targets for 68 yards. That's by far his worst game of the year. And so Arizona's defense has been very stingy this year. I don't think they're top 10. They're top 5. And that's been without J.J. Watt. And so Arizona's defense, hats off to them. A lot of credit goes out to them. But we just don't know how they're going to defend OBJ this time around. Matthew Stafford, he's probably downplaying those injuries. We don't know how healthy he is. He's obviously not 100%, though he could be very close to it. I think it's really a toss-up, bro. But I'm going to have to go – I'm just going to lean in Arizona's direction, just because I have more of a hatred for the Rams than I do for the Cardinals. That's kind of what I'm going to base this off, just because it's such a toss-up to me. I mean, I could really see both teams winning. It's just, I guess, more of my hatred goes towards the Rams than the Cardinals, and so for that – I know it's not the best analysis for y'all out there, but like I said, again, I can't stop saying it's really a toss-up. I'm just going to go with the slightly better football team right now in the Arizona Cardinals, but I think it is going to be a shootout. I think it has a possibility to potentially reach overtime, and I could only see a team winning by 1 point. So that being said, I'm going to go with Arizona. They win a very tight one, 37 to LA, 36.
All right. CG?
Well, it's a toss-up. Like, between the two teams, you can't go wrong with either choice. I mean, the only question is the Rams really back on track? Let's be honest, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars are what they are. I'm wondering if this is the Rams team that we just seen like a while ago, the team that didn't get beat bad by my team. Is this the Rams that was dominating other teams? Or is this just the one that just had that 1 week moment and then they're just back to reality again? So I'm just leaning towards the way it's going. It's going to go down to the wire. And I definitely have Arizona coming away with a victory. They're going to sweep the Rams. I'm sorry, buddy. I just don't know about the Rams. It's like you're playing Jacksonville. I don't know. It's hard for me I want to be more convinced with Stafford. Early in the season, I was really buying into Stafford as that guy. But he hasn't looked really good quite lately, except for that Jaguars game now. So I got to go with Arizona.
I say, what are your standards there, man? 3 touchdowns, no picks. Like,
no, like that, Jimmy's worse than the standards too. So I'm guilty as charged with that too. So, but I just need to see more out of that Rams team showing up because Arizona's a better team. So it's hard for me to like. It's like you can't go wrong with either choice. But I feel like Arizona is going to play better at home.
All right, there you go. So
the score is 32-35 Cardinals. There you go.
All right. That's a close one, man. We are all going high points on that one. I'm the only one that picks the Rams. CG is the only one that picks the Niners. And we all go Seattle on this one. So, yeah, that's right. Houston, though. We got a good race for the number 1 seed in the NFC. The Arizona Cardinals are barely hanging on. They got that 1-game lead over the Green Bay Packers, but if they do tie at the end of the season, the Packers did defeat, first of all, every NFC West team. So I'm not trying to knock the Cardinals here on this one specifically. They beat us all. So, but it's real snug in there. So Green Bay could pull it off. The Rams, I mean, sitting at 8-4, it's not unlikely or out of the realm of possibility it could creep into the 1 seed. There's still a lot of football left to play, and we also do have the tiebreaker over the Bucs, not the Packers, but over the Bucs. And you got the Bucs though, and the Packers sitting just 1 game behind Arizona, man. So, do you guys think Arizona is going to hang on? We'll start with Arizona. You can go. Tim.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to say that we're gonna win out. I would love to say we're gonna win out. I really would. But I don't know. I feel like there might be like a loss somewhere along these next 5 games, and it might not be the Rams. But if I were to like pick one specific game, the one that kind of really worries me is going to be the Colts, and the reason for that is Jonathan Taylor. I feel like they're going to be able to run that ball and basically keep the ball out of the hands of Kyler Murray. And that's what I fear. Jonathan Taylor's a freaking beast, man. He's doing very, very good this year. And that's really the only team that I'm kind of fearful coming in. Obviously, like Steezy said, we might be sitting our starters in the last game. But if it's something where the Cardinals do want to hang on to that seed, then you better darn well think that Kyler Murray is going to be playing on that last game, to get that win, hopefully. So that's really the only game that kind of really worries me. Yeah, I'm worried about the Rams as well, but obviously we're kind of, we're rolling on a high right now. So I do see maybe one loss, and I do think it's going to be the Colts.
All right, and then a quick answer on this one, CG. You guys are in the last wild card seed right now. I personally, if I'm throwing in my thoughts here, I think that the 3 teams that are behind the 49ers they're not real. I don't think that they're actual contenders. You got the Philadelphia Eagles, Minnesota Vikings, Carolina Panthers. I think that the 49ers are better than those teams. I don't buy into any of those teams, and I think they're getting way too much credit. Do you think the 49ers are going to hang on?
Well, we'll have to wait for those 5 games to go from there. Like you said, I can agree on your solid point. Like those teams that are behind us and we're the 7th seed. I mean, it depends on how we play against Cincinnati and the rest of the opponents. But when I look at the next 5 games that get tougher, you got the Bengals. They were a really good team this year. You can't overlook them because they've actually dominated their division this year. You look at a team like Tennessee. Tennessee without Derrick Henry, I don't know which team it is, but they've looked a lot good too. So that's one team you can't sleep on. And the Rams, you never know what to expect from the Rams because they might want some payback. So those are the 3 games I look at that's going to get tougher. But Houston and Atlanta, it's kind of like, hey, it should be a no-brainer. But I feel like this wild card spot is not guaranteed. If the Eagles win out for some reason, I think Eagles might be the only team that might take our spot. I mean, I think that would.
Really? I would say Philadelphia. If there was one that I would pick, and just because Minshew Mania, man.
No, I'm just thinking that would be the only team right there. That would be the only one that would probably maybe take it. But like you said, the rest of them don't seem convincible. But we got to win out, or at least ill afford to lose 1 game at least, but I want us to win out at least, All
right, and Steezy, my question for you is, can you explain the mass amounts of confidence this week over last week after a win over the Niners?
I just feel like it really comes from increased usage of guys that I feel like haven't been getting much run. I talked about it earlier, D. Eskridge, Rashad Penny, Carlos Dunlap, and even Adrian Peterson, more so off the field than maybe on the field. And then we talk about Russell Wilson getting healthier as the weeks continue to progress. And so there's definitely a lot of factors there. And we have, some of the guys in the locker room that have weathered a lot of storms before. And so that's where the confidence comes in. And yeah, I mean, look, all these teams that are behind the Niners, I don't have any confidence in them whatsoever. The Eagles, the Vikings, the Panthers, the Saints, the Falcons, all these teams are and so that's why if Seattle wins out, you might see me gaining more and more confidence as we continue to go along. But it was definitely a great start, and I hope we can continue.
All right. So guys, thank you so much for hanging out. It's been an amazing Tuesday. Next week, we are on the CG Ruthless Sports channel, so go ahead and pop over there. After that, it is going to be on Steezy. So we're all rotating that one. So I'll see you guys next week on the CG Ruthless Sports channel. Hey, let's go Rams.
Let's go Niners.
Go Cards.